Welcome back to Campfire Stories. I got a scary one for you today, but before we get into it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And make sure to hit that notifications bell so you know when we upload next. So, my girlfriend worked at Walmart, and she was working the night shift, and she was uncomfortable working the night shift. So she asked, so when she was uncomfortable working the night shift, she just powered through it. But one night she forgot her insulin, and she asked me to bring it. Now, Walmart was only like, the Walmart she worked at was like a mile away from me. It wasn't far at all. So I just headed out on foot, and she said, I can get there on foot, no problem. So I head out to Walmart. I have her insulin and her blood glucose tester in hand. And so she's on her. So I'm on my way, heading to Walmart. She's working the night shift, and I figure I'd stick around, because her shift is over in like a couple hours, and there's not really much got to do at home. So I was like, yeah, I'll just stick around and hang around with my girlfriend at work. She's not really doing much. It's the night shift. So I just hung around with my girlfriend at work. No one really cared. So I'm wandering through the aisles. It's almost midnight. And so as I'm wandering through the aisles, I see this one lady. She's standing in front of the shampoo. She's wearing white shoes, a white dress, kind of sweaty, kind of dirty dress, and it was she didn't look like she was in the best health. I mean, she was really skinny, she was really pale. She looked kind of ill, or looked like she donated way too much blood. And so so this lady's like shaking, and she's like speaking in some kind of weird language that I didn't understand, and I was like, okay, so she's probably just she's probably not from around here, and I don't know what, maybe she's on something, who knows. So a little while goes by, and I see this, and so I'm not an employee. I can't really just say anything or do anything. I could tell my girlfriend she worked loss prevention, so yeah, she was technically she was basically store security. So so basically what I did is I just kept an eye on this lady, and so she goes, and this lady suddenly turns around and says to me, she says to me something that I can't really comprehend still to this day. She turns around and says to me,
"You have work to do, Brian."
and that was weird. I found that weird. And the voice was really deep and just caught me off guard. And I was like, sure. And I kind of started to walk off, and I realized, how did she know my name? And why was her voice so deep? Like, that didn't make any sense. So I go back, and I asked again. I asked her, how did you know my name? And she says, what are you talking about? Can you help me find the shampoo? I said, you're standing in front of shampoo. She's like, oh, I am. Silly me. She picked up some shampoo, put it in her cart, and walked off. So, I go and I talk to my girlfriend. I say, hey, this is what just happened to me, and I didn't really mention that her voice was really deep and told me I have work to do, and I don't know what she was talking about. But she said, I guess, I don't know. But I did have a little bit of work to finish up at home, but I was going to wait until I got home. So 3 hours pass, don't really hear much. And then I'm walking through the aisles again after hanging out with my girlfriend for a little bit more. And so basically 3 hours pass, and it's almost time for her to go home. And so we're almost ready to get going. So when 3 hours pass, she I suddenly am walking through the aisles, and I see the same lady standing in front of t-shirts, and she's like giggling, and she's shaking again, and it's weird. And so of course, she suddenly turns around and she says to me something that I couldn't really understand, but it was something along the lines of,
It's almost your time.
so I was, I couldn't really, it caught me off guard, and I was kind of like, why is this lady still here? She only had the shampoo in her cart. She was chewing on something. She was salivating. Couldn't tell what she was chewing on. She was just salivating. There's this saliva dripping off her. It was so much. It was just drooping off her chin, and it was disgusting. And her eyes were rolled in the back of her head. So I go get my girlfriend, and I say, this lady's still here. So she says, okay, we'll check it out. So 2 other store employees and me, they requested me to come with them. And I was like, I'm a very large guy, and I have close quarter hand-to-hand combat training, so it's probably a good idea. So they're kind of looking at me like, yeah, let's bring him with us. It's Walmart loss prevention versus me, so so they were like, yeah, let's bring your boyfriend with us. Yeah, that's way better. I feel much safer with him. I'm like, okay. I'm 6'4", 260 pounds. I'm a big guy. So we go find this lady, and she's no longer there. Her cart's there. She's not. So we're like, okay, she probably left. So we do a quick sweep of the store. Couldn't find her anywhere. So we head back to the entrance, and there she is. And it was mind-boggling what happened next. She suddenly snapped out of it, and her eyes rolled to the front of her head, and she just pleaded for help and said, it's trying to replace me. It wants to take over. And then suddenly snapped out of it. When she suddenly snapped back in, her eyes rolled in the back of her head, and she said in this deep voice again, when I asked, what are you talking about? It's trying to take over. I asked her, what are you talking about? It's trying to take over. Said in a deep voice,
She's no longer here.
and then she started snapping her own bones back every which way. Her arms started breaking in ways that are impossible to do to yourself without even touching herself, just breaking behind her back, and just she was in this tiny crippled position with almost all her bones broken. And at this point, I was calling 911, and they were kind of like, at first they thought it was a prank, but I was like, no, I'm at Walmart. My girlfriend works at Walmart. Please help. There's this lady here. And I just told them because I knew they wouldn't believe me. I said, I think she's on drugs. And they showed up, and they found her in this crippled, broken position where her mangled body was unrecognizable. And if there wasn't security footage that captured it, the police would have thought we did it. But the security camera showed very clearly what happened. Because she was standing by the entrance. The entrance has cameras pointed right at it. Once the police got the camera footage, we were no longer suspects, but the case went cold. They took her to the hospital. She apparently was still alive. Me and my girlfriend went to check on her at the hospital. We found out what hospital the paramedics were taking her to. At this point, it was half an hour past her clock out time, and we didn't even realize it. So she clocked out, and I asked where the paramedics were taking her, and they said they gave us the hospital name. And we went to go see her, and we asked the nurse, "Where's this girl?" And we gave a description. She said she died, and the nurses said she's died, but it's not surprising. She said that she was a bruja from her neighborhood. She was a witch. She was always practicing witchcraft in her neighborhood. And she summoned a spirit that didn't want to go away and didn't want to return. And she channeled it through her own body, and it wanted to stay. That's what she was saying. It was at that moment I realized what we saw was a demonic possession. I realized we could never tell anyone what we saw. Besides, who would believe us? The police didn't even believe what they were seeing with their own eyes. I can't even believe myself. Who would believe us? Thanks for listening to Campfire Stories. Like, subscribe, and share with people. They're really interesting. Welcome back to Campfire Stories. Have you ever heard a story about a man called the Crooked Man? Before we get too far into this story, make sure to like and subscribe. I see there's people viewing and not subscribing. Make sure to like, subscribe. I don't ask you to turn the bell notification on just because it can get annoying. I know that. Just like, subscribe. Because I want to do this as a full-time job one day, you know? Support the channel. So, there was a man. Some say the man was a victim of a horrible accident. Some say he's a demon. Either way, if you're ever out at Anzabrigo campground and you see a crooked man, just know you should leave. So there was 2 kids and their parents staying at Fishhead Creek in Anzabrigo Campground, Anzabrigo National Park. That night, a fellow camper told him the story of what happened to the Crooked Man. He got his Jeep stuck. Got his Jeep stuck in the loose sand. When he got his Jeep stuck, he tried to get it unstuck. Something happened to his Jeep, and it started throttling. Ran him over. When they finally found him, his Jeep was crashed into the canyon wall, and he was a mangled, crooked man. As some say, others say he never truly was a man. He was a demon. Every bone was broken in a way that couldn't be bent. Every bone broken in a way that couldn't be bent. Every bone broken in a way that looks like the man was possessed. It didn't look like a car was just ran him over. But now he roams the campground by where he died. And anything straight he makes crooked, including people. If you encounter the Crooked Man, you'll see 2 signs. First sign, you'll see fire of unnatural colors. Some believe it's the hellfire of which he arrives. Others believe it's from the presence of him. But who knows why the colors or the fire is unnatural colored. Second, you'll see the shadow of the Crooked Man outside your tent. Right before the fire goes out, as it comes in a bright flash of usually green or purple, or sometimes blue. The next morning you'll see everything is crooked. Sticks, trees, tent poles, everything is crooked, as your tent was violently attacked the night before. Unfortunately, this happened to one family. That family encountered the Crooked Man. Their parents didn't believe the kids. They should have, though. Because as they were staying for a weekend, it happened on the first night. The second night, the Crooked Man came back. That's why they always say the Crooked Man pays you a visit. You have one opportunity to leave and never come back. No one ever sees the Crooked Man. It's just shadow. People could be standing outside the tent and not even notice that the crooked man is standing in front of the tent. You could walk straight through him. This unfortunate family met the demise of the crooked man. As the following night, the crooked man came back. And the crooked man does what the crooked man does. He sees everything straight is crooked and everything crooked is straight. And the crooked man makes whatever straight's crooked. That includes your arms, your legs, your torso, your neck. Everything normal is crooked, and everything crooked is normal. And the crooked man fixes it, as he's constantly fixing his Jeep and constantly getting it unstuck for all of eternity. And the crooked man came back that night and made everything crooked. The parents first, starting with their necks, then their arms, then their legs, then their torsos, then the children. And all you hear is and as the weekend ended and park rangers came to clean up the trash, they found the poorly, brutally murdered family rotting in their tents. And the park rangers don't bat an eye, because it's nothing they haven't seen before. As you've ever noticed, the crooked man there's signs posted for the crooked man. If your tent poles and the tents and the stakes and everything else is crooked, when you wake up, you must leave and never come back. Because the crooked man will come back and you never wake up again. Is it true or just an urban legend? Who knows? Either way, would you risk it? Hope you like this story. Like, subscribe, and enjoy. I'll see you next time.
Like and subscribe to Campfire Stories. This one's about me, the Shadow Man. Otherwise, your host will be along shortly. He's otherwise indisposed.
Welcome back to Campfire Stories. I got an interesting one for you today, and it's pretty much everyone's worst fear. But those are the best kind of stories. The ones that make us feel fear without danger. Unless you run into the Shadow Man. Some say the Shadow Man was a homeless man that died because no one would give him food. He offered labor for food. Some people say he was never a man at all. So a woman gets off work late at night after working a night shift. She works far from home, so she has to take the train. So she gets on the train. Half the lights are out. She's the only one there. This woman notices the faint outline of a shadow of a man. In the back, where the lights are out, she assumes it's a sleeping man, so she doesn't disturb him. So, she just goes and reads her magazine. Disturbed and unnerved by the man in the back of the train, sitting perfectly still, where you can only see a faint outline. No detail. She wonders if there's a man there at all. So just before her stop, she gets ready to get off the train. She looks up, and the man is looking at her, his eyes open, his teeth showing, or what's left of them. They look like the teeth of a corpse. They're green and yellow and brown, and clearly not well taken care of. But that's not the most disturbing part. All you could see is his teeth glowing from his red eyes. He says one thing to her before her stop. He simply says,
I'm so hungry. Can you help me?
The woman, frightened by the deep, unhuman voice of the man's request, gets off the train at her stop. Fortunately for her, or unfortunately, the shuttle man is waiting outside the train. It's like he didn't even take a step. He was on the train when she got off, but he was off the train when she got off. How did he move so fast? He's standing perfectly still, like he's been waiting for her the whole time. The unhuman appearance, the unhuman ability, terrified her. And even though, when they pulled up to the station, all the lights worked in the station, suddenly it was like the station was 100 years old. The tiles became cracked, even though they weren't like that yesterday. Mildew and mold just grow down the walls of the train station. It seems like the train station's 100 years old, but it's not. It seems abandoned, but it's not. It's the same stop she always gets off at, but it's not the same. Half the lights are out again. She can only see a faint outline. But she appears to see more of the man, wearing baggy clothes. And she smells a foul stench of a rotting corpse coming from the man. There's no one else around. She runs out of the station and tries to head home. Normally she calls an Uber, but she doesn't want to wait around, so she tries to get far away before calling an Uber. She then looks back, and then he's standing there, motionless. That same grin and glowing red eyes, staying there, looking. And he says once again,
I'm so hungry. Can you help me? It's cold here.
The woman, frightened, convinced what's following her is not human, she runs, trips and falls and looks back, and he's still standing there, motionless, even though she's ran quite a distance. He's just standing there, behind her still. She can't escape. All she sees is a faint outline, the rotting stench following her no matter how far she runs. Eventually, she gets home. The man has followed her all the way to her house. He stands outside, smiling. And she looks through her home security cameras, and he appears to be gone several hours later. Previously, she periodically looked out the window and saw he was still standing there, just same spot, same smile, hasn't moved an inch. When she looked at her security cameras, she remembered she passed her Amazon package and she had to retrieve it from the porch. When she saw the man was gone, she felt more comfortable about going outside. When she went outside and picked up her Amazon package and was ready to bring it in, she looked up and there he was. He was just staring, watching her. And he says once again,
I'm so hungry. It's so cold. Can you help me?
So the woman runs inside in fear and calls for her mother. And her mother says lock the doors and stay inside. She doesn't call the police because she doesn't know what to tell them. Some hours pass, she checks her home security cameras, and remembering what happened last time, she looks out the window after checking her cameras and realizes the man doesn't show up on camera. He only but she could clearly see him. So she calls the police, as it's 3 a.m. now. The police show up. They walk right past the man. One of the officers even passes through him. And he stands there and smiles. And as the woman watches the officer walk through him, she realizes she can't say anything to the police. They'll think she's crazy. What can she do? So she tells the woman there is a crazy homeless man that was following her. And the police say we'll keep an eye out. And as the officers leave, 2 officers walk through the shadow man. So she realizes, what do I do? There's nothing I can do. So she goes to bed. She makes sure her door's locked. She comes out the next morning. A homeless person has wandered into her yard. A woman. She died overnight. And the grass was dead. And there was a burnt patch. Said, I'm hungry. If you like this story, stay tuned for more. And like and subscribe. Make sure to click on that next video. There'll be more links for more great videos just like this. Like, subscribe, and remember, if you see the shadow man, give him food. It may just save someone's life. Is it worth it? Have a great evening.
I like pretty colors. Can I have your colors? I don't have any colors. Give me your colors. I don't have any colors. Can I have yours? He's my friend. Can I have his colors? Can you be my friend? I want you to be my friend forever. Can I have your colors? If you're my friend, I could take your colors. Can I come over? I want to show you my other colors that I taken. He's my friend. I like to take his colors. Can I have his colors? He has a lot of color. Can I have it? Can I be your friend? I want to be your friend. He's my friend. I want your colors. Give me your colors! I want your colors because I don't have any. I only have my other friend's colors. I want yours. Can you be my friend forever? I'm so hungry. It's cold here. In here. Can you turn on the heat? It's so cold. I can't feel my body. Goodbye.
Hey, fans of the Strange and Unusual, make sure to like and subscribe. For today's campfire story, we got a real interesting one. So, let's get into it. So I started my job at a new job at a Firewatch. And so I was at Tower 6. So I've been on a waiting list for a Firewatch job for a while. And mainly I really liked it because even though the pay wasn't great, it was literally a do nothing job. It took care of all my groceries. Didn't have to pay rent. And all I had to do was sit up in a tower in the woods all day. Occasionally the random camper would come by. And so I settle in. It's about a 3-hour hike. So as I'm hiking through the woods, I see a lot of garbage. I'm like, why is no one picking all this garbage up? It's unusual for a campground to be so messy, and it's not like normal garbage. It's like cooking ware and stuff like that is partially buried and stuff like that in the woods. So I finally get to my tower. It's getting dark, and all I see is the stairs. There's lights upside the tower, and I start making my way up the stairs. There's a note on the door that says I'll be there in the morning to bring food. Signed, Darling. So I get to the tower, and I remember that name Darling striking me as odd. And then I remembered, I remember where I heard that name before. That's the store owner's daughter. So there's a convenience store up the road that brings groceries to the Firewatch towers. So that kind of put me a little more at ease. It was a little bit weird to have a note on the door, but other than that, once I realized who it was from, it put me a lot at ease. And so I start looking out the tower, and there's a couple things in the Firewatch, and besides your normal things like first aid gear, cooking utensils, stuff like that, because we basically live in these Firewatches. So, as I'm looking out for fires, I knew exactly what I had to do from training, so I didn't really meet anyone up there. The sun's going down, it's getting late, and it's unusual to not have a partner in the fire watch. So usually you have someone covering day shift and someone covering night shift. And I thought that was odd. But then again, it was quite a small and old fire watch. It was only a single story, and on top of that, there was really only one there's only one room. Most fire watches are much more large. So I didn't think much into it. So I pick up this book that's been left on the table, and out falls the notes. And now, I remember, now that note, it was weird, because it said, rules to survive. The rules to survive. Don't talk to her. Don't look at her. Because he's always with her. If you hear him, run, 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 and don't look back. Rule number 1, most importantly, don't go into the woods at night. So, that list of rules was weird to me. And I was like, who's he and who's her? I thought it was someone trying to play a prank on me. And so I hear some static come over the radio after reading that. And, I pick up the book and I look at it, and there's like static coming over the radio. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's another fire watch trying to get through. So I go and I pick up the radio and I say, hello? Is anyone there? And I hear back a woman, and she says, are you real? And I'm like, I stop for a second. I'm like, am I real? Okay. So I was like, yes. I just checked into Firehouse 6. And so she says, oh, I'm Kelly. I'm in Firehouse 12. And so I'm like, oh, Firehouse 12, that should be right next to me off to the side. Because they go in a zigzag pattern, and they kind of have this grid layout with all the fire watches. Fire watches are only set up for as far as you can see. So once you can no longer see the next fire watch, that's where the next fire watch goes, at the height where you can no longer see the next fire watch. So you can never see the fire watches around you. You can only hear them on the radio. But it was weird that there was no one else chiming in on this conversation, saying hi or introducing, because there's a total of 12 fire watches. So I didn't understand that. And they work in two rows of 6. So I had a short conversation with Kelly, and she seemed really nice, and she said, oh, you should come over sometime to Firehouse 12. So I was like, okay, but we're not supposed to leave our posts. And she says, don't worry, nothing's gonna happen. So I say, okay, well, I'm gonna get some shut eye. It's nice talking to you, Kelly. Short conversation. And yeah. So then I start remembering. That's weird, because I remembered the note. It says, he's always with her. Don't talk to her. Don't look at her. Like, could that be about Kelly? That doesn't make sense, because no one else chimed in on a conversation. So the next day I wake up to a knock on the door, and I open the door, and it's Darling from the convenience store up the road, just out of the state park. She's delivering groceries. So she says you have to go to orientation at the ranger station. So she gives me a ride. She comes in on Polaris, and so she gives me a ride to the ranger station. And to my surprise, there's the head ranger. There's the rangers that are normally at the station in the briefing, but there's no other fire watch. And I raised my hand. I said, "Where's everyone else? Where's all the other fire watch? All the other people in the fire watch? And where's Kelly?" Because I was like, kind of like, I was interested in actually seeing what Kelly looked like. Because Kelly's, gonna be there. I was fascinated to see what Kelly looked like. So I go to, after saying that, everyone kind of looks at me with disgust. And I didn't understand why. And after the briefing, Darlene is waiting to take me back. And I told her what happened. She's like, "Oh, you shouldn't talk to her." And I said, "Why?" And she only responded with, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." So I get back to the cabin, and there's some newspaper. There was always some newspapers, and there's a wood stove inside for when it gets real cold. There's always some fresh logs and stuff inside. So I grab one of the newspapers, and I'm about to start a fire, and I look at the newspaper, and the newspaper's from 10 years ago. And it's about a missing girl. So, and I look, and there's about 2 missing girls. One of them being a park ranger assigned to fire watch. Apparently the woods I was working in, the park I was working in, there was a fire 10 years ago. And this girl Kelly and another girl that was her friend that was visiting her at work got lost during a wildfire as she tried to get her out. All the towers except Tower 6 burned. So I see, so I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. It must be a different Kelly, though. So I go look at, I see it kind of glow off in the distance. Now, there's no burn warning out, so no one's allowed to burn right now. So I see it glow, so I'm like, uh-oh, so I better go, so I go check it out. It's dark out. I remember the rules. The rules say don't go outside. And don't go out in the dark. So I'm like, that's just someone trying to scare me again. It's like just passing thought in my head. And so I go out and I go investigate the glow, and I come across this camp. And the glow's gone. So I go and I investigate the camp. The tent's full of mold and mildew. It looks like they just got up and left. Like the camp was just there 1 second, gone. There's something weird all over the tent. It kind of felt like ash. There was a fire pit, but it was cold. And for the short walk I had to do from the fire tower, it was weird. So I don't think much of it. I check the tent out and I radio it in. I get no response. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. So I go to bed and I get woken up to a thump, 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 thump. And I'm not a morning person. So I go away. That's all I say. I say, go away. And I hear back, it's Kelly. I brought a friend. And I start thinking, could this be the Kelly that's lost, or is it the Kelly? Is it the Kelly from the other Firewatch? So I hear the knock again, and I'm about to get up, and I remember the rules, and I said, "Who's your friend?" And she replies with, "He doesn't have a name." So I remember the rules, and I'm like, come back in the morning. It's kind of late." And she walks off, and I hear this thum, 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 kind of like hoofs, not footsteps. It was weird. And so later on, I see that same glow over by that camp again. So I'm like, okay, now I'm getting annoyed. Someone's definitely like out there. So I go out there, and as I'm approaching, I still see the glow, and it's coming from that same camp. So I'm like, they must have like a propane fire pit or something. So I'm gonna go check it out. So I go over there, and that same glow, and I get there, and go around the street, and there's no glow. Fire pit's cold, pitch black. And I immediately am like, well, this is weird. I don't know what the hell's going on here. So then it gets really cold all of a sudden, almost like it's winter, but it couldn't be because it's middle of summer. So I feel this breath on the back of my neck, and I start feeling this kind of extremely hot breath, but the temperature everywhere else is freezing to the point where I can see my breath. And I just remember the letter saying, "Don't look at her, don't talk to her, and if she comes near you, run, run, run out of the woods." So I start running, and I start running back to the fire tower, and the whole time all I hear behind me are, and it just scares the hell out of me. So I don't know, I'm thinking it's maybe an animal or something. And so instead of, so I run back to the fire tower, and suddenly it's like I'm surrounded by fire. So I look out, so I get all out on the balcony, and at the bottom of the fire tower, there's a gate door, and I slam the gate door, and behind me, and it automatically locks. Normally I don't keep it closed because the firewatch door locks. So, and it gives someone safe refuge if someone's being chased by an animal or something. So normally, doing my diligence as a park ranger, I did exactly that. But this time I slammed it behind me, and it locked. And I run up to the top of the fire tower. I run inside, and I close the door. And outside, there's 12 people, all all standing in front of their own fire pits. It's like the clearing where the Firewatch is just suddenly became a active campground. But there's no tents, there's no cars, there's no bikes, there's no nothing. Like, these people came from nowhere. I can't really see much about them. All I see is a shadow. And this figure, this dark figure, comes out of nowhere and comes out of the woods with this small girl next to her. And I recognize the picture. It's the picture of the girl that was lost with her friend. The ranger from Tower 12. Kelly. And it just reminds me, don't talk to her, don't look at her, run out of the woods. I'm thinking to myself, crap, I should have ran out of the woods. This is where I die. And as I'm thinking that, I look down, and every one of the people standing in front of their fire pits just drops. It starts burning. Just drops right into the fire pits. And I suddenly realize 12 fire towers. Why everyone was so disgusted when I asked, what about Kelly? What about the other watches? I try calling another watch. No response. Except for one. Kelly picks up a radio while standing next to the shadow. Says, I'm already here. Then the large shadow speaks. He says,
I'm so hungry.
So I run inside, I hop under the covers, and I'm just hiding. I don't know what to do. No one's responding on the radio. The tower's not responding. The ranger station's not responding. No one's there. All I hear coming over the radio is
Yes. I'm here.
and that comes from in the room as well. Obviously, I didn't make it. So if you're reading this letter, don't talk to Kelly. Don't talk to Kelly's friend. And leave. No one's going to help you out here. There's no one out here. I died 1967 as my fire tower engulfed in flames. And all the past rangers dragged me down. And every year I come back to help claim more victims. So if you're reading this letter, run. Run out of the woods. Don't look back. Don't look back. Don't talk to him. Don't talk to her. Kelly's not your friend. Kelly's not going to help you. She's one of us. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Campfire Stories. If you did, like and subscribe. There's more to come. I hope they get better after this too. This has been a fun one. It's been an interesting story. It's kind of all over the place, but hey, I'm telling them as I go. Till next time, enjoy. Hey you guys, welcome back to Campfire Story. If you haven't checked out the first video on this one today, it's a true story. If you haven't checked out the first video, it's a psycho came to my home. check that out. That's going to be part 1 to this. This is an ongoing thing. It's crazy, and it just keeps getting crazier. So make sure to check out that video, and I'll leave a link to it at the end of this video. So make sure to watch till the end so you can check that out. It's pretty out there. So essentially the short summary on this, short recap. So this guy broke into my apartment complex yet again, I don't know, but he just got it. So I find out more information on this guy first off. So the guy broke into my apartment complex again, so I'm trying to dig up information on him now. Now I start asking around my area for people that may know. I start asking people that may know anything about him. Now, this guy runs his mouth like there's no tomorrow. It's just that he just makes you just kind of want to, like, he's aggravating. I find out that he recently got out of jail for B&E, so he spent a couple weeks in prison for stoning an old man. That's in the first video. Then I just recently found out he just got out of jail for after spending a weekend in jail. He spent a weekend in jail for B&E. That's breaking and entering. And so that's kind of like, what is going on with this guy? Like, this guy had broken my apartment complex twice. So this time when he broke into my apartment complex, in the previous video, you're really gonna have to want to keep up on that. But I knocked on my neighbor's door that he has previously violated, and just letting him know, like, hey, this guy came back. So this guy saw me knock on his door, and he came as my neighbor was getting dressed because it's a weekend. He was sleeping in, so it wasn't that late anyways. But I knock on his door, and then he comes out, and this guy saw me knock on his door, and he clearly remembered what he did there to that family, and he straight up, this is the family that he was being a peeping Tom on. And so this guy straight up just came down, said to me, why do you go to act like the police? I'm like, and this is like right after I questioned him, like, why are you carrying around a pipe? He had this long pipe. It was a piece of conduit, like metal conduit. And they're doing work on my apartment complex, and I'm thinking he stole that from the construction workers, because that looks like the conduit they use for the outside lights under the balcony. So I'm kind of like, yeah, this guy definitely has been stealing, and so he comes down and asks, why do you got to act like the police? It's like, well, you're breaking into apartments in my apartment complex, and you're carrying around a pipe, swinging it at things. Like, come on. You're swinging a pipe at things. Of course I'm going to question you. Of course I'm going to, and then he threatened me with the pipe. So I'm like, oh man, so this guy just threatened me with the pipe. So of course I'm calling the police. I'm dialing 911. They actually send the police, and the police actually swept the area for him. And prior to the police actually sweeping the area, me and my neighbor actually drove around and looked for the guy. Like, we couldn't find him anywhere. Like, we were already on scene, and this was like seconds after he walked out, he just vanished. And this is kind of how you know that this guy has a criminal history. Is like, he was able to vanish so well, and he just stayed hidden for a while. That's what he did. He laid low for a little bit because he knew he fucked up. This is like, he got to the point where he realized, oh, I fucked up. I'm going to be going back to jail. So in the previous video, I mentioned that he said he's moving in with his daughter. Well, I found out why no one ever really sees his family. Now, he apparently does have a family. I found out a lot of information on him, and apparently his name is not James either. He lied about his name. So what ultimately it comes down to is his family has a restraining order on him, including both his daughters, which he only mentioned his daughter, not his daughters. no plural there. So that's like some real nut job crap. Like, he thinks there's two landlords, but he thinks he only has one daughter, but he has two daughters, and they have a restraining order on him. So, everything he said up to this point, and every time he breaks into the apartment complex, he's straight up lying. He's lying through his teeth. Like, he is lying. And everything that's coming out of his mouth is a lie. Like, we found out that from his actual daughters themselves, like, they actually, I met someone that actually spoke with his daughters, and there's like some serious domestic stuff with him. And it came down to it that he really just had this bad habit of breaking and entering in places. Like, he was a habitual offender. Like, he is an habitual offender. Like, he's been in and out of jail for so long, and his daughters don't want anything to do with him. His wife doesn't want anything to do with him. He's doing drugs. He's lying. He's an impulsive liar. Like, this guy is off his rocker. Not only that, like, he's made aggressive actions towards several people now. So, like, the police are looking for him. Like, the police are definitely looking for him. Like, and not only that, word's gotten up. Now, this is the crazy part. So, several people that I know the Hells Angels. So, the Hells Angels are involved at this point. So, this is getting, like, completely out there. So, the Hells Angels want a picture of this guy. So, next time I see him, I'm actually going to get a picture of him. Because that's going to be sent to the Hells Angels. Because this guy is a peeping Tom. He peeps on children. This guy's off his rocker. He's repeatedly breaking into apartments in my apartment complex. He's made it uncomfortable for people to live here. He's made people afraid to live here. He's coming at people aggressively with a metal pipe now. And he apparently not only did that to me, but he did it to someone else as well. And he's apparently driving every single neighbor up to the wall. Every one of my neighbors is basically having confrontations with this guy, and he's just telling people he moved in, he lives here. He's telling people, you have to deal with it. I live here. It's like, you don't live here. Landlord's already confirmed you don't live here. You're breaking and entering right now. You're gonna go back to jail again for breaking and entering. It's like, come on, man. It's like, at a certain point, you gotta wake up, smell the roses, and stop being a habitual offender. Like, I don't know what this guy's deal is. I don't know what kind of a trip he's on. I don't know what he's doing, but it's so stupid. Like, oh my god. Like, first off, you're gonna get, I was kind of hoping he'd hit me with a pipe, but he didn't hit me. And I was pretty much lucky for him, because this guy has pretty much gotten on my very last nerve between keeping me awake when I have work. I had to go to work for, like, I had to pull 10 hours of work prior to getting 5 hours of sleep. I have a crazy work schedule. I have a lot of side hustles. It's a tough time for everyone. And, it comes down to it. This guy is just off his rocker. This guy is this, he kept me up kept me up at 4 a.m. This guy has pretty much, he's peeped in on children and married women, and he's broken into apartments. My landlord's confirmed that he doesn't live here. My landlord says, call the cops if he shows up. He tried to force his way into my home. It's like, if he forces his way into my home, that's how you pretty much get shot right there. It's like, you're forcing your way into my home, with me on the other side of the door. Like, that's, and he's come at me with a pipe at this point. So anything I do at this point is in self-defense. But it's like, Jesus Christ, this guy's like, I have no doubt that the guy's dangerous. There's no doubt in my mind that the guy's dangerous. But, it comes down to it, like, this guy is definitely dangerous. Like, this guy is definitely, like, on some stuff, and priorly I thought he was gonna stone me. Nope, he just came at me with a pipe. Um, and it's a good question. Why are you walking around smacking things with a metal pipe? That's a good question to have for someone that's in your apartment complex that's not supposed to be there. That's a very good question. And another question I asked, why are you breaking into the apartment complex? He's like, no, I live here. It's like, no, you don't. Landlord's already confirmed you don't live here. You do not live here. You're not a tenant here. You're not a resident. No. You don't freaking live here. So, this guy is just off his rockers. Like, he's on something. And he tried to brag to me that he said, oh, I still have my other studio. And I have a studio here now, too. I'm like, why would you... Why? Is that supposed to impress me that you're claiming you rent 2 places? That doesn't impress me. That sounds like a very stupid decision is to rent 2 apartments at once. Why would you need 2 apartments? And why would you need 2 apartments, let alone studio apartments? That's not impressive to me. That sounds like a horrible financial decision and just real stupid planning. This guy doesn't live here, by the way. He's not renting here. He's not a renter here. It's just complete bull crap. Like, everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is a lie. He's in like 1 minute this guy will tell like 20 lies, and his lies, he just doesn't even care. He doesn't plan them out. And it's to the point where I found out, like, the reason you never see him around his daughters is because he's not actually moving in with his daughters. His daughter, he said. He has 2 daughters, and they both have a restraining order on him. He's not allowed to even contact them, but he's actually, he's an habitual offender, that's for sure. And the police actually today were looking for him. And so the police are eager to get him now. So that's fun. And this guy recently went to jail for B&E, so, and if it comes down to it, I'm going to tell the police, like, hey, yeah, I'll speak in court. I can call in. I could call into the court. That's not a problem. I can call in. I'll do that. So, and if I have to call in, like, this guy is definitely a danger to people. He's definitely, like, not someone that's a good person. He's also someone that is physically threatening me with physical harm now with a pipe. He's also peeped on little children. So definitely this guy is not worthy of any, forgiveness. This is like a pervy pedophile freaking situation where he's breaking into apartments repeatedly. And it comes down to it. It's kind of like, what the hell is going on? Because he keeps breaking in, and he keeps breaking into apartments, and my landlord confirmed he doesn't live here. And my landlord confirmed he doesn't live here. And the police were actually looking for him today, and that's, I'm sure, like, once the police actually catch up to him, like, once all that catches up, like, he's definitely, like, going to go to jail for a lot longer than a couple weeks or a weekend. He already has several open cases against him right now, so if he gets another case, there's no way he's getting out of jail until his court date, because every time he gets out of jail, he just commits more crimes. And there's no way in hell that he's getting out of jail after that. My neighbor wants to press charges. I want to press charges. The apartment complex wants to press charges on him. Landlord says charge him. Any tenant in my apartment complex actually has the right to charge a trespasser, and that's actually one of the things my landlord told me is, like, any tenant can call the police on someone that's not supposed to be there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's good to know. Like, my landlord said, call the police on him. have him arrested. You know, this guy is obviously dangerous. Like, he's picking up foreign objects and swinging them at people. You know, I just wish he actually hit me with a metal pole. I kind of wish he did, because you know, then I'd have free reign to do what I want to him. And you know, that's kind of one of those situations. Like, that's a freaking creep that's, you know, spying on little children. It's like, yes, that's something I would love to take full advantage of. Is normally I'm not a physical person, but you know, something that makes my blood boil is you know, two things that really makes my blood boil is rapists and pedophiles. That's something that makes my blood real boil. You know, and that's something that this guy's one of those. I don't know if he's the other one, but he's definitely one of them. When you just creep on little children through a window, you know, messing with your shorts and stuff, you know, when you're creeping, definitely you're gonna get your ass whooped. You know, so this guy comes back, it's like, you know, you're getting an ass whooping. And you know, this guy definitely, like, the Hell's Angels want to get their hands on him. That's how bad this guy is. Like, this guy's not a good guy. The Hell's Angels want to get their hands on this guy. And that's because some people in my apartment complex are, let's just say, friends with the Hell's Angels, with some members of the Hell's Angels. So they want to get their hands on this guy. So this guy's going to be basically passed around like a piece of meat, you know, being tenderized pretty much once the Hell's Angels get their hands on him. But yeah, so this guy's like definitely not stable. Like, this guy's aggravating. He runs his mouth. This guy just, oh man. The fact that he came at me with a metal pole, mainly because I was just simply asking questions like, hey, landlord already confirmed you don't live here. Leave. You know, like, oh, I rented an apartment here. It's like, yeah, that's not the apartment you said you lived in last time. But guess what? Someone does live in that apartment now, the one that you were actually in. You know, the one that you actually were inside. It's like, come on. No. You don't live here. You know, it's not a matter of me thinking like that he doesn't live here. It's my landlord is confirmed this guy does not live here. Call the police. That is what my landlord actually told me. My landlord actually freaked out when she got my message and said, this guy doesn't live here. Call the police next time he shows up. It's like, damn. You know, definitely this guy does not live here. There's 100% landlord has confirmed it. It's not just me being, you know, I mean, I have no problem with anyone. I base my beliefs on the Constitution, and everyone's treated equal. And I actually, one of the people that I actually really admire is Martin Luther King, and one of the things he has actually said was judge men on their actions, not the color of their skin. And that's really what I do. I judge people on their actions, and this guy's actions is creepy pedophiles. You know, it's a little bit of a peeping Tom. So peeping Tom on children. It's like, no, come on, you're peeping on children. Definitely, you are. You know, that's some very bad actions. Threatening people with a pipe, breaking and entering, that's bad person. You know, so that's why I'm kind of like at this point where I'm like, this guy is definitely, you know, this guy's definitely belongs in jail. Like, he's an habitual offender. He's in and out of jail. They've actually been able to charge him on several charges, and he has several pending cases right now. Like, are you serious? Like, this guy's definitely going back to jail. And in the state of California, they have bail reform. So basically what that means is he gets to basically commit crimes and walk. There's also something called the free strike rule. Well, I can count basically 10 crimes that he's committed in the 2 times that he's been in my apartment complex. I can count 10 crimes that I know are crimes. Peeping Tom, that's a crime. Breaking and entering, That's a crime. I got him on 4 different accounts of breaking and entering. Um, Harassment. I mean, I can just keep going. I mean, there's a long list of what he's doing. Breaking and entering with intent. He had a metal pipe. Um, and that's what it comes down to. And what it comes down to is this guy is definitely not right in the head. He's breaking into obviously empty apartments, and he is committing large amounts of crimes. Like this guy is, the 2 times he's been in my apartment complex, he's broken like 10 laws. And the 2 times he's been in my apartment complex, he's broken 10 laws. He's committed 10 separate crimes. Like, Jesus Christ. Like that's the kind of person that's just basically in and out of jail all the time. And the fact that I was so easily able to find out like so much about this guy, this says that he has a huge reputation of this, let's just say tomfuckery. Tomfuckery, yeah. Huge reputation of this. Oh my god. I'm not gonna post a picture of him online because I don't want people, the Hells Angels are already gonna do a number on him. I don't want people going after him as well. I don't want people trying to track down his family. I don't want people doing that because it seems like his family's trying to get away from him as well. That's something that's interesting. So that's something that's interesting. So like his own daughters have restraining orders on him. Like there's restraining orders from his own daughter. Like both of his daughters. He has 2 daughters, and they both have restraining orders on him. That's a sign of a very, very bad person. Oh my god. When I found that one out, the way I found that out is I spoke to someone that has given me good, reliable information before, and basically he actually spoke to his children, and his children actually addressed him, and mainly because their dad was talking a lot of shit about him, and so they went and talked to him, and they were actually trying to get information to further enforce a restraining order. And I was like, oh, that's actually interesting. So they were actually trying to dig up information on him to get more of a restraining order, to further enforce a restraining order. And he basically didn't want anything to do with it, but they gave him a small explanation before he denied them anything to do with it. But essentially, I think he should have, because this guy's definitely dangerous. He's definitely a creep, and there's no saying how far he'll go. Anytime I've seen him, he's had a blunt object in his hand. I don't know what he's capable of, and it is something that's worrying, and he has actually gone to jail for physically harming people with intention of doing so. So this guy, also I later found out, earlier tonight I found out this guy's been going around bad-mouthing me because I basically have been questioning him so much, and so have all my other neighbors. I don't know why he's singling me out. But he's been harassing the crap out of me long before this, so that's something. I'll probably talk more about that later. But this guy's off his rocker, man. I mean, this guy is so far out there, and I'm sorry this story's a little all over the place, but I mean, previously he said he moved into an apartment on the ground floor that was actually under maintenance, that someone just moved out of. Then he said he just moved in and is fully moved into another apartment and still had his previous apartment. That doesn't sound right. That sounds weird, and that's not a normal thing to do. And then he actually previously told me a long time ago that he's actually on a fixed income. So how do you afford 2 apartments on a fixed income, first off, when you can barely afford groceries? That's what he told me. And now suddenly he's a baller that has 2 studio apartments. That makes no sense to me. And why would you rent 2 apartments in the first place? At that point, get a damn mortgage. Get a house. Seriously. that home equity, that's good thing. Get a house, get some of that home equity. But again, he was lying. He doesn't have a studio in my apartment complex. My landlord has confirmed that, but he said he fully moved in, and I later confirmed that later tonight I confirmed that the person that has been living there for a while is still living there. That they did not move out, because I saw them leaving their apartments. A nice couple, actually, very friendly. They left their apartment, and he did not live. He did not. He is not living there. Not at all. So yeah, no. This couple that moved in, no relation to him, no idea that he was actually hanging around outside their apartment, but they were a little bit concerned about him as well, and they've seen him before, and he's harassed them as before as well, and they gave a spitting image description of him as like, yep, he's out of jail again. That's pretty much everyone's response to him is, yep, he's out of jail again, and that's kind of like, what the hell? Because it's like everyone's response to this guy is he's out of jail again. Like, that kind of says a lot about a person, So, I guess I'm going to end this one off because, oh my god, it's almost a 30-minute video. But, I'll leave the description again. I'll leave the description for the first video. This guy is a little bit off his rocker, but this has been kind of a roller coaster every time this guy comes along, and so I definitely need to get a picture of this guy to get to the police and stuff, because I'm sure they're going to recognize him right away. They are definitely, because he's had enough encounters with the police for them to recognize him right away. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'll put a description. I'll put in the link of the video for the first part. So stay tuned, and I'll keep you guys updated. And again, enjoy, like, subscribe, Campfire Stories. Hey, welcome back to Campfire Stories. I got another true story for you. But before that, hit that like, subscribe, and notifications bell. And make sure to comment down below what kind of stories you like to hear. Today I got a true story for you though. So this happened to me only a couple nights ago. So after a late night, I ended up falling asleep on my couch in my family room, right next to my front door. So, about 1 a.m. I fell asleep. 2 a.m. I hear this loud, hard bang that actually was so loud it echoed outside my home, or outside my apartment complex, which is a gated apartment complex. It echoed throughout the apartment complex so loud that I could hear the echo from inside my apartment. It was a bang against my door, like a hard bang, but low down. So I was like, what the hell was that? So I open the door, I look outside, I don't see anyone. So I go and I think maybe it came from my back window, because my back window is an alleyway. So, it's kind of weird, but yeah. So I go out and look in the back alleyway. There's no one there. So I go back out and I'm walking around my apartment complex, and I'm looking to see what was that noise. Maybe it was a branch or something that fell off a palm tree. I was just looking around, and suddenly this guy calls out to me, and it's Convict. Right? So Convict calls me over, and I'm kind of like, do I know this guy? Like, what's going on? And so Convict calls me over and tries to strike a conversation with me about how he just got out of jail. And he does not look like he lives anywhere. He looks homeless, and his jacket is not even performing its due diligence as a jacket due to the giant hole under the armpit that you could literally shove a football through. So he's wearing basketball shorts. So why is he wearing a down jacket that also has a giant hole and basketball shorts? Not only that, it's like 70 out. It's like 70 degrees out. Why is he wearing a jacket, period? Um, so many questions around the jackets. It's non-functionality. It's not, it's unneeded purpose in the summer. You know, it's like a hot summer night. It's humid too. I'm like, why? So this guy, I just try to get away from him. That's my first instinct, is get away from this guy. And I asked him, did you break into my apartment complex? And, you know, that's a bold question. I'm a very large guy. And he was like, no, I just moved in. And he points at the apartment that he supposedly moved into. So I'm skeptical still, because that apartment looks like it's still under maintenance and the window's open. But he's clearly been in it, and he has access to the apartment somehow. So I'm thinking maybe he did lease it. So he claims he moved into the apartment. He's been in and out of the apartment. I watched him go in and out of the apartment, and he goes in and out of the apartment, and he basically is, you know, taking the AC vent filter and hosing it off outside. Why, I don't know. So he does all this weird stuff. He hangs outside for a while, knocks on my door several times, and I'm telling this guy, go the fuck away. It's early in the morning. You know, leave me alone. He actually corrects me on the time. And, you know, it's one of those things, it was aggravating as could be. And as far as I knew, this was a new neighbor that just moved in and hasn't moved anything in yet, just kind of hanging around, just being annoying. So I go and I check out this apartment, and so I call my landlord. He did say a few things to me that, you know, he kept asking me questions. He played like 20 questions with me, and one of them was, where's the other landlord? And it's like, there's only one landlord. There's always ever been one landlord. Who did he talk to that claimed to be a landlord? I don't think this guy actually lives here. There's a lot to doubt his legitimacy here, but he had access to a vacant apartment. So this guy claimed to live here. He claimed to be moving in tomorrow. So this guy was here early as early could be. So he claimed he was living, he just rented here. He claimed that multiple times. So this guy claimed multiple times he was living here. And so when he was making these claims, he was even saying things like, oh, we're going to be neighbors, we have to get along. It's like, not at 4 in the morning. Stop knocking on my door at 4 a.m. And this guy really freaked me out. And he pulled, so people have been using my empty planter that used to have a strawberry plant as an ashtray, and it's been driving me nuts. I don't like people doing it, but people do it, and it's just turned into a thing, and it's like, there's nothing ever gonna grow there again. The only thing that's ever gonna grow there again is tobacco. So maybe I'll grow a giant stalk of tobacco leaves and just start rolling my own cigars. Who knows? But anyways, he pulls a cigarette butt, someone's cigarette butt, out of my planter, knocks on my door, shows me the cigarette butt, and says, can I have a cigarette? I'm like, no, I don't have a cigarette. I don't smoke. And he shows me the cigarette butt and says, really? You're going to lie to me? And he puts his foot in my door. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like 5 seconds from this, you know, I don't want to leave my door open, you know, with him there, but I know I need to protect myself. So I'm like 5 seconds from like just running to get my gun, but I tried to force the door closed, and I was able to force the door closed and lock it. I told this guy, go away. I told this guy, no, just stop. This guy so I eventually called my landlord and complained. So this guy knocks on my door again, walks away from my door. So I open the door, and because he woke me up again, I'm about to bite his head off, and I see him in front of a neighbor's bedroom window. And I'm not going to say the neighbor's name. I'm not going to say anything about him, but I will say what he was doing was inappropriate and creepy as all high hell, and I caught him. And he was being a peeping Tom. But, it came down to it, he was being a peeping Tom. So I'm generally concerned about this guy now. And I just kind of go, hey, what are you doing? And he quickly stands up and, asks about the pool. Why is the pool locked? I'm like, because it's a commercial pool. It's, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm not answering his questions. I'm not playing 20 questions. I'm not going to answer his diversion questions. He's trying to divert from the fact that he just got caught peeping. And this guy told me he just got out of jail. And it's like, suddenly I recognize this guy. This guy is the same guy that got arrested for throwing rocks at an elderly man over the fence. But in his defense, he did intend to throw rocks at the elderly man's son. He just couldn't see who he was throwing rocks at. That's insane, right? That's why that guy went to jail. I recognize the guy. He's been the talk of the town for a while now. He's purely insane. He's off his rocker. And that's the same guy that tried to follow me home several times. So, long story short, I complained to my landlord. I'm fed up with this guy. I complained to my landlord about my supposed new neighbor. And my landlord, just today, tells me there is no new tenant in that apartment. It's vacant. I said, I kind of figured. The door was forced open. Later on, we checked the door, and the door is forced open. So, my landlord came to my door and confirmed that there is no new tenant, that guy just broke in. He's some rando that broke in and was peeping on the neighbors. And she said, because when she apparently got my message, it sent chills down her spine. Same with my neighbor that got peeped on. It made his blood boil. Made my landlord's put a chill down my landlord's spine when she heard what happened. And it's not uncommon for me to get knocks on the door, especially when my lights are on, because you can see through the blinds that the lights are on. And I do have neighbors that I'm pretty close to, that are that I'm friends with, that are they stay up late. So it's not uncommon if my lights are on for someone to knock on my door about 2 a.m. Because people are going to assume I'm awake, but sometimes I'm not awake. So, but that's really on me, because that's really how people indicate if I'm awake or not. So I go and I'm, kind of peeved at this point. This guy knocks on my door one more time before taking off. So I can see him through my blinds, through the cracks in my blinds. He walks off as soon as he knocks on my door, and I just lock the door. I sleep next to my gun, and I go to bed. I'm really concerned that this guy might do something further. He's done some pretty illegal stuff already. He's broken into an apartment. He's peeped on a neighbor, and he's peeped on a neighbor that apparently had an open window and open blinds. And it's kind of like, what the hell? So it came down to it. It's like, no, I don't really want this guy around. Like, I complained to my landlord, and was hoping that would be the end of it. Turns out the guy doesn't live here. Never did. Probably never will. So, it came down to it that the guy did commit a crime on the property. And, if the guy ever does try to move in, I'm going to be quick to tell my landlord, hey, that's the guy that peeped on the neighbors. That's the peeping Tom. That's the guy that broke into the apartment. I'm going to be quick to tell my landlord, because this guy straight up creeps me out. He doesn't take no for an answer. He doesn't take no for no. It's the kind of guy that if he follows you and he doesn't, and if you tell him go to hell away, he'll keep following you, asking you 20 million questions. He's definitely on drugs all the time. And this guy just hangs around my area. He's homeless now, mainly because he tried to stone an old man. But again, his defense, he did mistake it for the old man's son, who's a father and a husband, and takes care of his elderly father, and is actually a model citizen. I know him, and he's a good guy. So it kind of just struck me as like, why was he trying to throw rocks at him in the first place? Then it came out. He did that. He followed him home and threw rocks at him because, well, he wouldn't give him $30. And now this guy, the second he calls me over, asks me for $30. Am I going to be stoned by this guy now? Is this guy going to throw rocks at me? Like, that's a big question. Like, that's an honest question. Is this guy going to throw rocks at me? Like, is that something that's going to happen now? Like, that's an interesting question. I want to know, is this guy going to throw rocks at me? Leave your comment down below if you think this guy's going to try to throw rocks at me now because I didn't give him $30. I didn't give the deranged lunatic that broke into my apartment complex $30. You know, my gut says he's not going to come back, mainly because he's well known around here now. And if he comes back, there's definitely going to be a lot of people calling the police and some people beating the crap out of him. Mainly because, well, he's a peeping Tom. People don't like that. People are definitely pissed off about it around here. So, and my landlord might be one of them. She was honestly terrified about hearing that. And, so, yeah. Let me know down below. Do you think this guy's going to come back to throw rocks at me? I'm curious to know because he's already done that once for someone not giving him $30. He tried to say that it was someone else said that I would give him $30. No one that I know would ever tell him Tyler will give you $30. No one will say that. No one will say he will give you $30. No, go to him. He'll give you $30. No, I'm not going to give people $30 just because they ask for $30. That's not how the world works. That's an insane a notion that someone would do that. I mean, charity is of your own free will. Charity is not by force. It is not by request. So that's what makes charity charity. So I don't know where this guy got off thinking that he could just ask for $30 from anyone, and if they refused, he was just gonna beat the crap out of them with rocks. He was gonna stone them. It's a very old-fashioned way of doing things. Give me $30 or I'm gonna stone you. Like, really? What the hell? By the way, if you don't know what a stoning is, it's not being stoned. It's a stoning. It's something they used to do a long time ago in arenas where someone used to be buried from their neck down, and they would throw rocks at them until they're dead. This guy tried to do that. He's insane. And this guy broke into my apartment complex and was lurking around for hours. I don't know how long he was out there, but I do know it was between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. because this guy couldn't stop knocking on my door at that time. And it's just like one of those weird things. Like, I don't know what to think, but it scared me at the time. I'm not scared easily. Like, I watch The Conjuring and it's like, oh, that was kind of boring. Like, I've free climbed cliffs. That didn't scare me. I look down and it's a straight drop to my death on those cliffs, like sharp, jagged rocks and thrashing ocean below. And I'm not scared. That was an actual situation I was in, or was really one that I put myself in by free climbing a sandstone cliff. was not the best choice. That's another story for another day. But yeah, I mean, I'm not one to scare easily, but this guy, like, he put some fear in me. He put some fear for my safety in me. I was afraid for my life. I was afraid for my life, and I was afraid for my safety around this guy. This guy definitely was threatening. This guy definitely was not right in the head. And who starts a conversation like, he tells me his name, convict tells me his name, and then says, I just got out of jail. It's like, who starts a conversation like, my name's convict and I just got out of jail? What the hell? Who does that? Who does that? Like, seriously. That's insane. That's an insane thing to do. Let alone go around hitting people's doors with a broom. Really? Come on. That ain't right. So, obviously this guy's not right in the head. Let me know down below if you think he's going to come back and try to stone me. I got some news for him. If he does, convict's going back to jail. Because he's on probation. You can't commit multiple breaking and enterings, you know. And then peeping Tom on someone while breaking and entering, you know, that's not something you could do and stay out of jail. Seriously. You're going to jail if you peep on children. You know, you're a child peeper, you're going to jail. That's for sure. He definitely pissed off some people around here. People are not going to hesitate to call the police on him. So, you know, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this story. It's a little different, but it's one of those ones that's a little bit up there. It's a little bit out there, but it happened to me. It's real life. This person's insane. I have no clue what to do about it. I want this guy to go away. Jail wasn't enough for him. Wasn't enough to keep him away. This guy's insane. He's not learning his lesson. That's why his name is Convict. Alright, have a good one. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And, you know, like and subscribe. Comment down below. Do you think Convict's going to come back to give me an old-fashioned stoning? Let me know.